So, Lord of Chaos is the sixth book in the Wheel of Time. And this entry I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed Lord of Chaos. It's exactly everything I needed it to be at this point in the series. So, what the Lord of Chaos is, it's right after Fires of Heaven. And Ran is in this position right now where he has Ter, Kehian, under his belt. He's in this position of power. He's once again the most important political figure right now. And what Lord of Chaos essentially is, it's Rand juggling all these different things from, the threat of the White Tower at Aleda's hands, trying to juggle running Kehian with the help of Berylane and Rock, as well as trying to provide an heir for Andor, because obviously Morghese is no longer there. It's all him juggling all these things, his new amnesty, everything. And you really get the sense that Rand is being overwhelmed with everything and is contributing to his slow descent into madness. So he has this psychological conflict within himself with Lews Therin, and also all this conflict from all these outside forces contributing to his slow descent. And you really get that sense here. This is a really long book. This is one of the longest ones. And what I love about this book is the pacing. I think this is one of the best paced, if not the best paced book in the entire series. It starts off pretty slow, but it's done on purpose. It's a ticking time bomb pace right now. We're getting perspectives from other Aes Sedais from the White Towers, the rebel Aes Sedai and whatnot. All these people who are basically their end goal is Rand al'Thor. We're seeing this slow unwinding, this tension building up. Rand is very good in this book. He's a much more competent protagonist than he ever was. He's an interesting character. Not only do I enjoy reading his own perspectives, I love reading other people's perspectives on him. Because we're in his head, we can read these voices, but when we're in other people's perspectives, he just looks crazy. And I really love that attention to detail. Even though it's mostly just him talking to other political figures, talking to other characters, dealing with all these things going on around him. It's not much, action. I guess you could say it's mostly just him talking to different people and him just going around trying to solve different issues, trying to juggle all these things. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Now, other characters. So obviously, at the end of Fires of Heaven, Nynaeve and Elaine have reached Saladar. Don't get me wrong. Even though they don't have much to do in this book, they have a lot, but not as much as the previous one. But once again, Saladar is far more interesting setting with far more interesting side characters that is instantly better than anything they did in book 5. And what I loved in this book, in Nynaeve's storyline, Rand's, and everyone else's, is that you'll always see such great developments. The story moves forward. Even though not much happens on the foreground, it's mostly just characters interacting with each other. The series keeps moving forward. Now, for Gwen, the first half of her story is pretty much what we see before. It's her interacting with the other wise ones, developing her abilities, and it's more of what we've seen before. The latter half of Gwen's storyline, holy shit. And Matt, a little bit of a lighter presence, but he's still here. He's currently, obviously after book 5, he's kind of adopted more of a leadership role. He has his own militia called the Red Hand. We're getting introduced all these different characters within his militia, which is pretty cool to see. He has some new interesting dynamics with this young kid. Matt, once again, lighter presence, but this book does a good job of setting up a few future storylines for this character. Setup can be quite tedious, but setup in here is actually done pretty well. I actually really enjoyed reading it. And finally, I can say with confidence, Lord of Chaos has the best climax in the series so far. Alright, let's get into the spoilers. So the book picks up right where book 5 leaves off. So Rand has gotten Kehian under his belt. He's issued Berylane and Rock to take care of running Kehian, with his supervision, of course. It was good to see Berylane come back. In Red Shadows Rising, I thought her role was simply just to be this really attractive foreigner who drives a wedge between all the main romances, but it's good to see she's an actual character here. This book starts off straight away with the character Mazrim Taim, who is a false dragon. He was mentioned by name before, but we didn't see him. And he's come to, I guess, swear fealty to Rand. He's due to Rand's new amnesty that all men who could channel can come to him. They're not going to be stilled by the Red Arjo or anything like that. Ran wants them under his belt. He wants to create an army of men who can channel in preparation for Tarmangaidon, and he wants Mazrim Taim's help. This is familiar elements with Asmodean in the previous book, and this man who can channel. They're both he's teaching Rand some stuff. There's a bit of hostility between them. It's familiar territory, although Mazrim Taim is adopting a different role compared to Asmodean, which I guess differentiates them a bit. Obviously, by doing this causes a rift between not only just the rebel Aes Sedai but the White Tower Aes Sedai with Rand. Both of these rebels and the White Tower are butting heads when they're trying to get Rand's trying to become allies with Rand's in some way. With this new development of Rand's amnesty, it creates a wider rift between all these different parties. He needs Elaine to come back, take the Lion Throne, but she's with the rebel Aes Sedai right now, and they're kind of keeping Elaine away from Rand, which is causing some strife in Andor. And all these different houses are, they want a Trakand on the throne, but then all these powerful houses want the throne for themselves. There's a lot of politicking and political maneuvering going around here that he has to deal with. We also get some interesting revelations about Rand's, ancestry with his mother, his true biological mother's side. I'm guessing it means he's related to certain characters like Galad. I correct me if I'm wrong, but Galad is Rand's half-brother, right? Unless I read that completely wrong. I'm pretty sure Galad is Rand's half-brother. What I also loved about this is his psychological battle with Lews Therin. In one hand, what I loved about Lord of Chaos is that it doesn't outright say this is Lews Therin. It's suggested that this could possibly be just an effect of saidin corrupting him. This could just be saidin corrupting him. Lews Therin could not be in his mind. It could just be all his imagination, and it's just a product of the madness, or it could be a product of him being the Dragon Reborn. And it's like, which one is it? Is he going mad? Is he not? I really love that. I really love how ambiguous it is in this book, although it does become more definitive later on in the series. Obviously, Rand knows how to travel right now, and this prevents really slow moments of him traveling between Cahian, Andor, and all these different places. It keeps it a well-paced book. The addition of traveling. There's never a dull moment of just multiple chapters of him traveling to different places. I also really got the sense of just the hole that is left by Moraine's death. Even though Moraine wasn't someone Rand particularly liked, there was some hostility between them too, but she was always his guide, his political teacher, and now we really get the sense that he's alone. He has to make decisions for himself now, and he's in some way kind of misses Moraine, I guess, and we really do feel this. Moraine's death affected all these characters, especially Rand. So Nynaeve and Elaine in Saladar. What I loved about it is that in the previous couple of books, Nynaeve and Elaine were acting on their own, pretending to be Aes Sedai. So in a lot of ways, they've gotten used to this authority that they have. So now that they're back with the Aes Sedai, it's like they're back to square one. They are accepted. They are being treated like children. These Aes Sedai constantly underestimating these two because they've gone through a lot. They've learned a lot, and in some ways they're more knowledgeable, more powerful than most of the Aes Sedai there, and they know it, but they can't do anything about it. Also, you've got Elaine kind of butting heads with the Aes Sedais because she wants to go to Andor, but they're not letting her. This book is just driven by conflict, which makes it so well paced. And let's talk about that moment. Nynaeve is trying to heal Logain, who was that fake dragon who's now been stilled. And Nynaeve's goal is she wants to heal Stilling. She wants to heal Siuan and Lian. That moment where she actually is like, oh shit, she healed Logain. What a crazy moment. And then she proceeds to heal Siuan and Lian. On the one hand, I really liked Siuan being just a normal person, having no powers, because it set up for a really interesting arc for her trying to discover who she is without this part of her that's so ingrained in her identity and trying to come out of that. But on the other hand, this is more in service of Nynaeve's arc. Nynaeve is one of the main characters, right? So in that hand, I get it, and I'm okay with it. And it was a great moment, her healing Siuan and seeing all these Aes Sedai, seeing her do something which is basically thought to be impossible. What a great moment. Let's talk about Egwene. So, like I said, for the first half, Egwene's storyline is pretty familiar. It's her training with the Wise Ones, talking to them. We see the return of Jordan's pretty romances. So she has this new romance with Gorn Trakand, who is Elaine's brother. He's here with the White Tower Aes Sedai. How this starts is that she's invading his dreams because he's having like, I don't know, wet dreams or something. I don't know, something weird like that. And then she's dreaming about him, even though these characters aren't really interacting with each other, and that their love is purely based on them dreaming about each other. I was like, yeah, this romance is one I'm in the bin of Wheel of Time romances that I don't enjoy. Once the Rebel Aes Sedai want Egwene to come back, they contact her through Talar and Riod. She admits to the Wise Ones that she's not actually Aes Sedai, and we see her try to. She has toe to these to the Wise Ones. That was a great moment of her showing respects to her teachers. However, once she gets to the Rebel Aes Sedai, we get some amazing developments. So the Rebel Aes Sedai want Egwene to be the Amyrlin seat. And it makes complete sense because I think it was Shuan who suggested that they bring someone who was outside of the usurping that happened in book 4, I think. So she intended Moraine to become Amyrlin's seat, was what I'm guessing, but obviously I completely forgot that Egwene was also not there. So now that Moraine's dead, they chose Egwene to be Amyrlin's seat. And this is such an interesting development. We're seeing this Rebel Aes Sedai storyline just moves forward now. This makes Egwene such a pivotal political figure now. It makes her such a pivotal role in the series. I love this development, and it's not just like, oh, she's Amyrlin's seat, she has the power now. Essentially, they're using her as a scapegoat, and she realizes this. And so, even though she's Amyrlin, she's not Amyrlin. She doesn't have the power, right? In this book, we're seeing some of those rifts, some of those conflicts between her and the other Aes Sedai who are not necessarily showing her the respect that she deserves as Amyrlin's seat. So Mat, lighter presence, we see he has this new militia called the Red Hand, Band of the Red Hand. I liked his new relationship with that young kid Olva. That's a pretty nice little friendship he has there with that young child he's trying to look after now. He's a bit more of a presence in the latter half, and what this is essentially is Nynaeve, Elaine, and Mat. Their story in this is mostly just set up for the Ebu Dar storyline, in which they must reclaim this bowl called the Bowl of Winds, which is supposed to fix the weather, because right now the weather is just constant sun. I can relate. If you can't tell, I'm melting right now. Rand essentially sends Mat to get Elaine, because he needs Elaine to get the throne in Andor. But Elaine wants to go find this freaking bowl or something, so they strike a deal. Funny interactions. It was funny seeing Nynaeve kick Mat in the balls. It confirmed some stuff, like all of them. There's like 3 Aes Sedai trying to channel, and it's not touching his medallion. I swear, I have conspiracy theories about this freaking medallion. Because, dude, it's so powerful. How is no one talking about this thing? This is where I'm like, okay, I kind of see this whole Emmons Fielder dynamic come into play. I definitely get that banter over here, which I really like. And once again, it's just set up for a future storyline, but it's good setup. Like, I really enjoyed reading this. In the third act, Perrin returns. It's been so long since Perrin's come back. It feels so long, even though it's been like a book and a half. So, and I forgot how much I missed Perrin, Fail, Loyal, Gol, Bane, Shiad. I forgot how much I missed all of them. Is that it's not like, oh yeah, they're back and then they're just sitting in the background. Like, no, Perrin is like at the forefront of the climax of this book. One thing which was like, oh, okay, this is familiar territory is obviously Berelain is in Caerhien, and Berelain was a person who caused a rift between Perrin and Fail's romance. And at first, it's funny. It's like, yeah, it's kind of funny, goofy banter, sure. But on the other hand, it's like, we've seen this before. And it just causes, once again, it's just mostly Perrin and Fail's interactions are just bickering with each other. Which I'm like, yeah, we've kind of seen this before. Although I did really enjoy seeing Perrin meet the in-laws. That was great. I love that moment where it's like, I think Fail is talking to her mother, and then Perrin has them to just slap each other in the face. It goes to show what the parent-child dynamics are like in Saldea. Perrin meeting Bashir, who is Fail's father. Obviously, Bashir is now an ally with Rand al'Thor. He has an army of Saldeans. So that was cool to see all these webs being woven, being connected. All this stuff is going on. We're getting all these different perspectives. We're getting perspectives of Forsakens. We're getting perspectives of the White Tower Aes Sedai in Caerhien, of the Rebel Aes Sedai and whatnot. And in one of these perspective chapters, an Aes Sedai is stabbed by an Aiel. Obviously, they think because the Aiel are currently allied with Rand al-4. Obviously, they don't know that there are bad Aiel who aren't allied with Rand al-4, such as the Shaido, who in this case are still kind of allied with the White Tower Aes Sedai. There's some manipulation going on here with the Shaido Aiel, and what this leads to is the White Tower Aes Sedai having to sneak 13 Aes Sedai to Rand al-4. So they prepared a meeting for him, and they secretly snuck in 13, and they shielded him, and they put him in a box, and they're bringing him to the White Tower. Also with Rand, I forgot to mention, is he has this new kind of bond with Alana. Alana was the Aes Sedai we saw in Perrin's storyline in book 4, and she just bonds him without his permission, which is like a really big deal. And this is a new thing that's added with Rand al-4. So, along with Luce Theron's voice, we also kind of get Alana in the back of his mind. This leads into some pretty interesting stuff within the narrative, especially later on. The White Tower Aes Sedai have kidnapped Rand al-4. They bring him to the White Tower. Perrin and everyone in Caerhien realizes this, so they gather up an army with the Two Rivers men, with the Aiel, with the rebel Aes Sedai who are now helping him, and along with Alana, because Alana is connected to Rand, so she knows his location. And then the Battle of Demise Well, which was awesome. So I want to talk about why this battle is. I love this climax way more than the previous one. For starters, it's not Rand fighting a Forsaken. Thank God. We've got that for the previous 5 books. I can't believe it took 6 books for us to have a different climax. Oh my god. Also, Rand is not at the forefront of this fight. He is the object of obsession. He is the person who's kidnapped, the person we must save. So now we're seeing other characters lead this, like Perrin at the forefront of this battle. And also, it's a battle. It's not a one-on-one fight. This is a straight-up battle, and it's awesome. It's epic. And also, motivations. Obviously, I talked about how some manipulations have been going on with the Shaido Aiel and tricking the White Tower Aes Sedai into thinking that Rand tried to put a hit on one of their Aes Sedai, and it goes in with the overall pace of this book, because it's this slow unwinding tension. You know, it's this tension being built up between all these different parties, and then once that moment happens, it's just snap, it just explodes into Demise Well. We see Perrin lead this army to get Rand back. Rand, I forgot to mention, Rand and Min have been reunited, romance there, sure, whatever. And Min's kidnapped along with Rand, unfortunately, so they have to reclaim both of them. And so Perrin's leading this army, and it's crazy. The Aes Sedai, the Wise Ones, the Aiel, they're all fighting each other. They're all fighting the White Tower Aes Sedai and the Shaido Aiel. And then the Shaido Aiel betray the White Tower Aes Sedai. And then just this crazy battle, like people just fighting everyone. It's crazy. And then if things got crazier, Rand breaks. He's in this box for a long time, and we see him being tortured. Then later, as the battle's about to happen, he breaks the shield and then just goes crazy. He starts stealing women just by himself, and Rand's power levels are insane right now. They're just getting higher and higher. He's just getting more and more powerful, and it's kind of terrifying because he's literally stealing women just on his own. When you think things are just going to go crazy, you know, freaking Mazrim Taim and his Black Tower. Also, can I just say how edgy the name the Black Tower is? It's so edgy. So yes, Mazrim Taim and all his Ashran Man, all these men who can channel, have come through a portal basically, and they're now part of the fight, and it's insane. And that moment where they created that force field bubble among the Shaido Aiel, and then we're just seeing heads freaking exploding. I was like, what the hell? This is like territory I never thought I would see the Wheel of Time go in. It's brutal. We're seeing Rand make these really tough decisions that go against his moral code, but we see him have no choice. It's not like he's backing out trying to be the morally good person all the time. He's making these really rough decisions that's got to taint his soul a bit, and it's great to see. And we're getting vivid detail of people's heads freaking exploding like a watermelon. It's crazy. And once again, the Battle of Demise Well, I think it's almost a perfect climax, because beyond serving as a great battle, beyond having it's well built up, the motivations are there, it's unique, it's different, and there's so much players going on at the moment. And at the end of the battle, it serves a great narrative function for Rand and the rebel Aes Sedai to swear fealty to him. Obviously, this is because he no longer trusts Aes Sedai. Like, he never trusted Aes Sedai before, but now he really doesn't trust Aes Sedai. Even though the rebel Aes Sedai are a different fraction from the White Tower Aes Sedai, he doesn't trust them, and he wants them to swear fealty to him. And it makes sense. Like, when I read it, I'm like, this makes sense. I completely understand why he would feel this way. Once again, Demise well, perfect, just a perfect climax for this book. Once again, Lord of Chaos is great. I was also surprised to see characters like Alana and Berylane and Rock get a bigger role, and Mazrim Taim as well. And honestly, guys, I wouldn't talk about this if it didn't have so much emphasis, but I'm really not feeling this love rectangle going on right now. I'm not sure what it's building up to. I'll hold my final judgments until I finish the series. It's really unfortunate because all of these characters were so helplessly in love with Rand, like Elaine, Avienda, and Min. They're great characters on their own. Like, individually, I like these characters. I love Elaine and Avienda. But it's unfortunate that their characters are kind of hindered by this being helplessly in love with Rand al'Thor. So, some other nitpicks that I have, because there are so many threads being woven right now. So we're juggling so much. I haven't even covered half of what I wanted to talk about. And so what this leads to is certain characters like Morghese, who is now with the White Cloaks. Her storyline, her crew it feels very stagnant right now. It's not moving much, if at all. However, overall, Lord of Chaos is great. I think it's well paced, it's slow, but it's a slow unwinding tension. The climax is great. The characters I'm so much more invested in. I really enjoy the dynamics now, which is a complaint I have. And once again, I just really enjoyed Lord of Chaos. This is exactly what I needed the book to be. There's some amazing developments that pushes the series forward. We get some great moments here. Unfortunately, there's so much storylines. We're at the peak of where we've got so much storylines. It's just a little bit difficult to juggle right now. Some stuff is being put to the background. Some of the romances still have an issue with. However, Jordan's climaxes and his dynamics are way better. I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's the same rating I gave Dragon Reborn. I think I enjoyed this just as much as the Dragon Reborn. I think the Dragon Reborn was a bit more contained. I'll hold out my overall series opinion when I finish the series. But Lord of Chaos, 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed this book. Like, I really love the Lord of Chaos. Anyway, guys, tell me in the comment section below what you think. If you have read The Wheel of Time, please use spoiler-free comments, because I myself, and I know a lot of other people are reading this series for the first time. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.